There comes a moment in everyone's life when you quietly realize something powerful. You've spent years loving people who didn't love you back the same way. You've given your time, your energy, your loyalty, your heart, and somewhere along the way, you forgot the most important person in your life, yourself. Loving yourself is not selfish. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's survival. Because if you don't value yourself, the world will teach you how little you matter, and it will do it brutally. Most people are taught how to love others, how to please, how to sacrifice, how to fit in. But no one teaches you how to stand alone and still feel whole. No one teaches you how to look in the mirror and say, I am enough, without needing approval, validation, or permission. Here's the truth most people avoid hearing. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others treat you. If you tolerate disrespect from yourself, ignoring your needs, your dreams, your boundaries, others will follow that same rule. Not because they're evil, but because you taught them how. Loving yourself more than anyone else means you stop negotiating your worth. You stop explaining why you deserve basic respect. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop apologizing for existing. It means you understand that your peace is more important than being liked. Your mental health is more important than being accepted. Your future is more important than temporary comfort. And yes, some people will call you changed, but what they really mean is, you stopped allowing what you used to allow. Self-love is choosing growth over familiarity. It's choosing discipline over excuses. It's choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. Loving yourself means keeping promises to yourself, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. It means you don't abandon yourself just to keep someone else. It means you don't stay in places that drain you just because you're afraid of being alone. Because here's another hard truth. Loneliness with self-respect is better than company without dignity. When you love yourself deeply, your life changes quietly. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop proving. You attract instead. Opportunities, confidence, calm, direction. Your energy shifts. Your decisions become clearer. Your standards rise, and so does your life. Self-love doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It means you respect yourself enough to improve. It means you forgive your past without repeating it. It means you learn from pain without living in it. Every time you choose yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, you build trust with your soul. And self-trust is one of the most powerful forces on earth. You start showing up differently. You speak differently. You walk differently. You live differently. And slowly, without forcing anything, the right people start finding you. Not the ones who need you to be small, but the ones who respect who you are becoming. If you've ever felt invisible, unheard, undervalued, this is your reminder. You don't need permission to love yourself. You don't need validation to choose yourself. You don't need approval to protect your peace. Loving yourself more than anyone else is not about pushing people away. It's about finally coming home to yourself. And once you do, you'll never accept less than you deserve again. If this message resonated with you, take a moment, breathe, and commit to yourself today. Because the relationship you have with yourself will shape every other relationship in your life. And remember, the strongest investment you will ever make is in yourself. When you truly begin to love yourself, something uncomfortable happens first. You start noticing how much of your life was built on seeking approval. How many choices were made just to avoid rejection? How many dreams were delayed because you were afraid of being judged? And that awareness can hurt. But pain with clarity is better than comfort with illusion. Self-love asks you to sit with yourself in silence and still feel worthy. No distractions. No validación. No noise. Just you and the decision to stop running from who you are. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they don't believe they deserve better. They stay in relationships that drain them. They stay in jobs that crush their spirit. They stay in habits that slowly destroy them. Not because they don't know better, but because deep down they don't feel worthy of more. Loving yourself more than anyone else changes that story. It teaches you to listen to your intuition instead of ignoring it. It teaches you to walk away without guilt. It teaches you that no is a complete sentence. you stop over-explaining. You stop proving. You stop begging life to meet you halfway. You meet life standing tall. Self-love is waking up and choosing discipline when motivation is gone. It's going to the gym when no one is clapping. It's working on your goals when nobody believes in them yet. Because loving yourself means respecting your future self enough to do the hard work today. There will be days when self-love looks like rest, and days when it looks like pushing through discomfort. Wisdom is knowing the difference. When you love yourself deeply, you stop identifying with your past mistakes. You understand that failure is feedback, not identity. You forgive yourself without excusing your behavior. You grow without hating who you used to be. And that inner peace, it's addictive. You become calm in chaos, grounded under pressure, unshaken by opinions. Because when you know your worth, you don't need to defend it. The world will still test you. People will still doubt you. Life will still challenge you. But now you trust yourself enough to handle it. You stop chasing external happiness because you've built an internal foundation. And from that place, everything changes. Your confidence becomes quiet, not loud. Your power becomes stable, not reactive. Your presence becomes felt, not forced. You attract better conversations, better opportunities, better energy. Not because you tried harder, but because you respected yourself more. And here's the part no one tells you. Loving yourself will cost you some people. Not everyone is comfortable around someone who has boundaries. Not everyone benefits when you stop overgiving. Not everyone stays when you stop settling. And that's okay. Because anyone who truly belongs in your life will rise with your standards, not be threatened by them. You were never meant to be everything for everyone. You were meant to be real with yourself. So if today you feel lost, if you feel behind, if you feel like you've wasted time, let this be your reset. You don't need to restart your life. You just need to restart your relationship with yourself. One promise at a time. One boundary at a time. One brave decision at a time. And one day you'll look back and realize, the moment you chose yourself was the moment everything began to change. If you're listening to this right now, let this message anchor inside you. Let it remind you that self-love is not a destination. It's a daily practice. And the more you choose yourself, the stronger you become, the freer you feel, the clearer your purpose gets. Stay connected with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where mindset becomes strength and self-belief becomes your greatest advantage. Loving yourself also means learning how to be alone without feeling empty. Not lonely alone. There's a difference. Loneliness comes from needing something outside of you to feel complete. Aloneness comes from knowing you are already enough. Most people are afraid of being alone because silence forces honesty. It shows you where you've been avoiding yourself. But once you stop running from that silence, it becomes your greatest source of strength. Because when you're comfortable alone, you stop choosing people out of fear. You choose them out of alignment. You stop attaching your identity to relationships, titles, or external success. You understand that these things can add to your life, but they are not your life. Self-love teaches you patience. Not passive waiting, but active trust. Trust in your process. Trust in your timing. Trust that what's meant for you won't require you to betray yourself to get it. And yes, the journey isn't smooth. There will be days when old habits try to pull you back. When self-doubt whispers that you're asking for too much. When fear tells you to settle because it's familiar. But loving yourself means recognizing that voice and choosing differently anyway. You don't wait to feel confident to act. You act and confidence follows. You don't wait for life to be easy to grow. You grow and life adjusts. This is how real transformation happens. Quietly, consistently, without applause. When you start honoring yourself, you'll notice something powerful. Your standards rise naturally. You no longer tolerate conversations that lack respect. You no longer stay where your presence is taken for granted. You no longer chase energy that doesn't match yours. And for the first time, your life feels aligned. You sleep better. You think clearer. You move with intention. Because inner chaos fades when self-respect takes its place. Loving yourself doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It doesn't make you distant. It makes you grounded. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you selective. And being selective is not rejection, it's protection. Protection of your time, your energy, your mental health, your future. You begin to understand that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every battle deserves your energy. Peace becomes your priority, not because you gave up, but because you finally leveled up. And once you experience that peace, you will protect it at all costs. You'll stop explaining your growth to people who refuse to grow. You'll stop shrinking your dreams to fit small minds. You'll stop carrying guilt for choosing yourself. Because deep down, the most important relationship you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. And when that relationship is strong, everything else becomes optional, not essential. So wherever you are in your journey right now, let this moment remind you, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every boundary you set, every promise you keep to yourself, every time you choose self-respect over comfort, at some point, loving yourself becomes less about motivation and more about identity. It's no longer something you try to do. It's who you are. It's the standard you live by, even when life gets heavy. You stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, does this respect who I'm becoming? That question alone can change your entire future. Because when self-love becomes your foundation, your decisions stop being emotional reactions and start becoming intentional choices. You don't move out of fear. You don't act out of insecurity. You don't chase what isn't aligned. You wait. You build. You prepare. You understand that everything meaningful in life requires patience, discipline, and self-respect. There will be moments when choosing yourself feels lonely. When you watch others move faster, celebrate earlier, or seem more successful. And in those moments, self-love means resisting comparison. It means trusting that your path doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be valid. Comparison steals peace. Self-trust builds it. Loving yourself teaches you how to lose without quitting, how to fail without giving up on yourself, how to fall and still believe you're worthy of getting back up. You don't define yourself by outcomes anymore. You define yourself by effort, integrity, and consistency. That's real confidence. You also learn how to let go, not with anger, but with gratitude. Gratitude for what the experience taught you. Gratitude for the version of you that survived it. Gratitude for the clarity it gave you. Letting go isn't weakness. It's emotional strength. Because holding on to what hurts doesn't make you loyal. It makes you stuck. Self-love frees you from that. It gives you permission to rewrite your story without guilt. To choose a new direction without apology. To walk away from anything that costs you your self-respect. And the more you do that, the lighter you feel. Your mind becomes quieter. Your heart becomes steadier. Your vision becomes clearer. You stop reacting to life and start responding with purpose. When challenges show up, and they will, you no longer ask, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this teaching me? That shift turns pain into progress. You realize that every difficult moment is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. And instead of resisting the process, you lean into it. Because you trust yourself now. You trust your ability to adapt. You trust your resilience. You trust that no matter what happens, you won't abandon yourself. And that trust is unbreakable. So if today feels heavy, remind yourself, you've survived worse. You've grown through pain. You've rebuilt before. And you can do it again, with more wisdom, more strength, and more self-love than ever before. Stay present with this message. Let it ground you. Let it remind you of who you are becoming. And keep growing with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where self-belief turns into real inner power. Loving yourself also means learning how to slow down without feeling guilty. In a world that celebrates constant hustle, self-love reminds you that rest is not weakness. It's preparation. It's recovery. It's respect for your mind and body. You don't need to earn rest by burning yourself out. You deserve rest because you're human. When you honor your limits, you protect your future. You stop running on empty. You stop living in survival mode. You start creating from a place of clarity instead of exhaustion. And clarity changes everything. You begin to see which goals actually matter to you, not the ones you picked up from comparison, pressure, or expectation. You let go of the idea that success has to look a certain way. You define it on your own terms. That's self-love in action. It's choosing fulfillment over applause, alignment over attention, purpose over pressure. You stop measuring your worth by productivity. You understand that your value doesn't disappear when you pause. It doesn't increase when you overwork. It simply exists. And from that place, you move smarter. You learn to protect your mornings. You guard your energy. You become intentional with your time. Because time is life, and loving yourself means not wasting it on what drains you. As your self-respect grows, your tolerance for chaos shrinks. You stop engaging in drama that doesn't serve your growth. You stop explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. You don't argue with disrespect. You don't chase clarity from confusion. You don't seek peace in places built on conflict. You walk away, calmly, confidently, without bitterness. And that calm, that's power. Loving yourself doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you become stronger than what life throws at you. You face challenges with composure. You respond instead of reacting. You stay grounded even when things don't go your way. Because your sense of worth is no longer fragile. It's rooted in self-trust, rooted in discipline, rooted in the promise that you will show up for yourself no matter what. You begin to live with intention instead of impulse. You choose habits that support your future self. You stop making decisions just to feel something in the moment. You think long-term. You move with patience. You act with purpose. And over time, those small, self-respecting choices compound. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. One day you wake up and realize you're no longer trying to become someone else. You're becoming more of who you already are. That's the reward of loving yourself deeply. So keep choosing yourself. Keep honoring your boundaries. Keep investing in your growth. Because the more you love yourself, the less you'll need the world to validate you. And if this message is helping you reconnect with your inner strength, stay connected with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where lasting change starts from within. As you continue loving yourself, you'll notice something subtle but powerful. Your relationship with fear begins to change. Fear doesn't disappear, it just loses control. It no longer makes decisions for you. It becomes information, not a command. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I don't try?" That shift is everything. Self-love teaches you courage without aggression. You don't force life. You don't rush the process. You move forward steadily, even when uncertainty is present. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move anyway. You begin to understand that discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're growing. That stretching beyond who you were yesterday is part of becoming who you're meant to be. And instead of judging yourself during hard moments, you support yourself. You speak to yourself with patience. You forgive yourself for being human. You stay committed even when progress feels slow. That inner dialogue matters more than most people realize. The way you talk to yourself shapes the way you experience life. When your inner voice becomes supportive instead of critical, you become unstoppable. You don't need external motivation as much. You don't rely on constant reassurance. You become self-sustained, grounded, centered, resilient. You also learn how to receive, not just give. You allow yourself to accept love, respect, and opportunities without feeling undeserving. You stop pushing good things away because you finally believe you're worthy of them. That belief alone can change your entire reality. Because what you believe about yourself quietly dictates what you allow into your life. Loving yourself also means learning when to be patient and when to be decisive. You stop second-guessing every move. You trust your judgment. You trust your preparation. You trust the version of you that has learned through experience. And when mistakes happen, because they will, you don't collapse. You adjust. You adapt. You continue. You realize that growth is not a straight line. It's a commitment to stay present, to stay honest, to stay aligned with who you are becoming. Over time, your life starts reflecting that commitment. Not overnight, not magically, but clearly. Your choices become cleaner. Your focus becomes sharper. Your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. You stop chasing identity. You start living it. And one day, you'll look back and realize that loving yourself wasn't the selfish choice. It was the most responsible one. Because it allowed you to show up fully, not just for yourself, but for the world around you. You became someone who acts with intention. Someone who leads with clarity. Someone who doesn't abandon themselves when things get difficult. That's real strength. So keep listening. Keep reflecting. Keep choosing yourself even when it feels unfamiliar. Because every time you do, you reinforce the truth. You are worthy of your own love. You are capable of growth. You are building a life that feels right from the inside out. Stay grounded with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where self-respect becomes inner power. Loving yourself also changes the way you experience success. It no longer feels like something you chase. It feels like something you align with. You stop rushing milestones just to feel validated. You focus on building a solid foundation that can actually hold the life you want. Because success without self-love is fragile. And success built on self-respect lasts. You stop chasing shortcuts. You understand that anything worth having requires patience, consistency, and integrity. You become willing to do the unseen work, the quiet hours, the small improvements, the habits no one applauds. That willingness separates growth from fantasy. You also learn how to stay humble without shrinking. You acknowledge your progress without minimizing it. You celebrate wins without attaching your worth to them. You understand that achievements are expressions of effort, not proof of value. Self-love keeps you balanced. It prevents arrogance when things go well and prevents despair when things don't. It gives you emotional stability in a world that constantly tries to pull you in extremes. And that stability becomes your edge. You begin to lead yourself with intention. You don't need chaos to feel alive. You don't create drama to feel important. You create structure, clarity, and direction. Because peace is no longer boring, it's powerful. As you continue this journey, you'll realize that loving yourself doesn't isolate you. It actually improves your relationships. You show up more present, more honest, more grounded. You communicate instead of assuming. You listen instead of reacting. You respect boundaries, both yours and others. And when something doesn't align, you let it go without resentment. Because you're no longer seeking completion from others. You're sharing wholeness. That changes everything. Your connections become deeper. Your conversations become real. Your life becomes intentional. You stop performing. You start living. And perhaps the most important shift of all, you stop fearing your own potential. You no longer sabotage progress when things start working. You allow yourself to grow into bigger opportunities without feeling like an imposter. You understand that growth may feel uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you're expanding. So when life presents you with responsibility, challenge, or change, you don't retreat. You rise to meet it, calmly, confidently, with self-respect. You trust that you can handle what comes next, not because you know everything, but because you trust yourself to learn. And that trust is the reward of loving yourself deeply. Stay present with this message. Let it remind you that the life you want is built from the inside out. And keep growing with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where mindset becomes strength and inner clarity leads the way. Loving yourself also means learning how to release urgency. You stop believing that everything has to happen right now or it will never happen at all. You understand that pressure clouds judgment, and patience creates clarity. You stop rushing decisions just to escape discomfort. You stop forcing timelines that don't align. You start trusting the process even when progress feels slow. Because growth that lasts is rarely rushed. Self-love teaches you how to stay present instead of constantly living in the future. You enjoy the small moments without feeling like you're falling behind. You understand that life is not a race. It's a relationship you build with yourself over time. And the stronger that relationship becomes, the less anxious you feel. You stop tying your identity to outcomes. You stop measuring your worth by speed. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 10. You move at your own pace, and that pace becomes powerful. When challenges appear, you don't panic. You pause. You assess. You respond with intention. You understand that calm thinking solves more problems than emotional reaction ever could. That calm becomes your signature. You also learn how to sit with uncertainty without losing confidence. You don't need every answer before taking the next step. You trust yourself to figure things out along the way. Because self-trust doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from believing in your ability to adapt. Loving yourself means accepting that not every day will feel productive, and that's okay. Some days are for building. Some days are for reflecting. Some days are for resting. All of them matter. You stop being harsh with yourself for being human. And in that gentleness, strength grows. You begin to notice that your inner world is calmer than it used to be. Your thoughts are clearer. Your emotions are steadier. Your reactions are measured. Because self-love creates internal order. And from that order, confidence naturally rises. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. People can feel it. They feel it in the way you speak, in the way you move, in the way you carry yourself. It's the confidence of someone who knows they'll be okay, no matter how things unfold. So if life feels uncertain right now, let this remind you. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to stay aligned with yourself. One step at a time. One choice at a time. One moment of self-respect at a time. And over time, those choices will shape a life that feels steady, meaningful, and true. Stay connected with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where inner calm turns into lasting strength. Loving yourself also changes how you handle disappointment. It no longer breaks you the way it used to. You still feel it, but you don't let it define you. You understand that setbacks are not signs to stop. They're signals to refine. You stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming rejection means inadequacy. You stop letting temporary outcomes rewrite your self-image. Because self-love gives you perspective. You realize that not everything that falls apart is a failure. Some things fall apart because they were never meant to last. Some doors close because staying would have cost you more than leaving. And when you understand that, you stop resisting change. You work with it. You learn how to detach without becoming cold. You care deeply, but you don't cling. You stay committed, but you don't lose yourself. That balance is rare. And it's powerful. You begin to see challenges as training. Each moment of discomfort strengthens your emotional discipline. Each obstacle sharpens your awareness. Each delay builds patience. Nothing is wasted when you're growing intentionally. Self-love also teaches you how to be honest with yourself without cruelty. You see where you need to improve, and you take responsibility without shame. You correct your direction without tearing yourself down. Because growth fueled by self-respect lasts longer than growth fueled by self-hate. You stop using guilt as motivation. You stop using fear as fuel. You move forward from clarity instead. And clarity creates momentum. You start trusting your instincts again. You don't ignore the quiet signals inside you. You don't override your intuition just to please others. You listen. You adjust. You honor what feels right. That inner alignment becomes your compass. And the more you follow it, the more confident you become. Not loud confidence, but steady confidence. The kind that doesn't shake when things don't go as planned. You realize you don't need constant reassurance. You don't need external validation. You don't need permission to move forward. You give that permission to yourself. And once you do, life opens in unexpected ways. Opportunities feel more natural. Decisions feel lighter. Your path feels clearer. Not because it's easy, but because it's honest. So if you're listening right now and questioning your progress, remember this. You're not late. You're not lost. You're learning. And learning with self-respect is how real transformation happens. Stay present with this message. Let it reinforce what you already know deep down, that choosing yourself is not the end of connection. It's the beginning of a stronger one. Keep building with the Motivational Audiobook spot, where inner clarity becomes real confidence.